Hello friends, my name is Bree, and today we got some work to do. So yesterday I went to the farmer's market and I went to Wallace's Garden Center, and they had berry bushes along with a lot of other things on sale. These were 30% off yesterday, and I don't remember if I've told you guys or not, but in the spring this year I tried to plant some berry bushes from Bare Roots and they did not take. So no berry bushes for me. But it's fine because these were 30% off. These are already started and it is fall, so it is the perfect time to get these berry bushes in the ground. So what I have here is I have a blackberry bush right here, and then I have a raspberry bush. And I'm going to plant these right along the edge of our property over here. I'll give you a little show. So we have already had a frost here, so my lilacs are dying off. But you can see right along this edge right here where the hill kind of starts going downward into the field right here. This is where I'm going to plant my berry bushes. So I have two dead spots here where, like right here is one, and then over here is another. These are the areas that I attempted to start my bare root berry bushes in the spring. So I'm going to put my blackberry over here and my raspberry over there. There's plenty of space in between here, so hopefully in the springtime I can get two more of these and plant one right here and one over here. So this whole area right here will just be like a little hedge of berry bushes. That is the plan. So not only are we going to be planting these berry bushes today, I'm also going to plant some perennial herbs that were on sale yesterday too. I intend to tear out all of my cherry tomato plants and my broccolis because they are done for the year, and plant my perennial herbs over there. I'm also going to be moving the perennial herbs that I have in my 5-gallon buckets over to the big containers over there so they have room to grow more. I think I might be done growing cherry tomatoes. Not 100% sure. Talk to me in the spring. My mind can change. But every year I plant cherry tomatoes for my husband because he claims that he really loves cherry tomatoes. Every year he does not eat any cherry tomatoes, even if I put them in the fridge for him. So maybe next year I plant one cherry tomato plant, but I don't think I'm going to be planting a bunch like I did this year because it really just takes up space, and a lot of it ends up being chicken food, to be honest. So here we go. Let's get started planting. So now it's time to dig the holes for these berry bushes. And I have this super sweet auger attachment here on my drill, and it makes planting so much easier. I will go ahead and I'll put a link to the drill that I have and the auger attachment down in the description below in case you want to try it out for yourself. But I do have to tell you that make sure when you do this you have your drill on a low speed setting, because if it takes off on you, it can very easily twist your arm, and that's not good. I usually use my leg to kind of brace the end of the drill here so it can't get away from me. But yeah, let's get to planting these berry bushes. I'm excited. All right, now I got a nice wide hole here. I'm gonna go grab my raspberry plant and gently work it out of its container and get it in this ground. Okay, I got our berry bush out of its container. Now what I'm doing is I'm just kind of trying to work this soil a little bit and loosen it up just a little bit, make it easier for the roots to spread. Planting in the fall, you really want to make sure that your roots take hold, because that is what's going to keep your plant alive through the winter time, is a good solid root structure. And our little hole that we dug is just about perfect. All right. Okay, so I got the soil back around the plant. We should have a good layer there. I did build it up just a little bit because I do expect some settling of this soil as I water this in, which is totally fine. That's to be expected. I also intend in the next couple of days to go grab a bag of mulch from somewhere and just mulch around this, kind of give it an extra barrier to help it get through the winter time. All right, on to the next. We got our first one right back there. Let's get the blackberry bush in the ground. That's how you get it done quick. That should be deep enough. Yeah, that looks good. That should be deep enough. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take my shovel and I'm gonna just widen this hole out. Now that I have this base, it should be real easy. All right, same thing as with the raspberry bush. We're gonna get this baby out of its container, get it in the ground. So first thing I'm gonna do to kind of make this easier to get it out of this container, I'm just gonna kind of press on the sides just a little bit, just to kind of loosen it up just a hair. And then find a good spot to grip, make sure it's on its side, and then just gently pull it on out, just like that. Perfect. Okay, again, we're gonna be looking at the root structure in this and just kind of pressing just a little bit, just to kind of loosen it up just a hair. And this should do very well expanding on its own. All right, we are looking beautiful. We have our blackberry bush right here. We have our raspberry bush back there. This part of today is done. I apologize if you can hear my husband mowing in the background. He's apparently got some things to do today too. All right, so continuing on after we planted our berry bushes on the other side of this building over here, now it's time to plant some herbs. If you watched my last video, you know that I just took out my cherry tomato plants over here. So I thought this was the perfect area to start my herb garden because I don't think I'm going to be growing as many cherry tomato plants next year as I did this year. I think I may only grow one because really the only person here that likes the cherry tomatoes is my husband. And he does not eat as many cherry tomato plants as I planted this year. So what we have here is rosemary. This is what I got at Wallace's Garden yesterday. I have some rosemary, but this is actually going to go in a container and it's going to stay in my house all winter because rosemary would not survive the winter here. It gets too cold. So after that, we have some oregano, and some of these plants do not look the best, guys, but I'm not worried about it at all. More than likely, the reasoning behind why they don't look the greatest is just that they've outgrown these containers. So like this oregano, it doesn't look terrible, but it would look a whole lot better if it was greener and more vibrant. Then I have thyme. This is one of those ones that really isn't looking the best, but again, not worried about it. Then we have peppermint. I'm super excited to have peppermint around here. But if you know anything about mint, they take over real fast. So this is one that definitely needs to stay in a container. Ta-da! And last but not least, I bought a sage plant, which this was the best looking one that I saw. Still not the best looking, but again, I'm not worried about it. I'm fairly certain that all of these will bounce back after they have more room to work with. they're about to be in a totally different living environment. So I am not worried. I believe it won't take long until they start looking beautiful again. All right, I got my drill and my auger. Let's go get it done. All right, I have holes drilled in 4 of our containers. This is the one that I think I'm going to be putting the thyme in, but since I am also going to be putting in my thyme from the other side, I will need 2 holes in this bucket, but I'm not going to put that second hole in the bucket until I go over there and dig up that thyme so that I can kind of see what the root structure looks like and see how big of a hole I'm going to need. Same thing with this bucket. There's no hole in this bucket yet because this is where my parsley plant is going to go. I really want to dig up those 2 plants and see what I'm working with before I put any kind of hole in here. So let's get these ones planted and then we'll head over to the 5-gallon bucket area and grab our parsley and our thyme. I wanted to bring this guy over here just to show this to you. Just as I thought, these guys have very much outgrown these containers. They were on sale, they were on clearance. So more than likely, well, I guess they weren't really on clearance, they were just on sale. But more than likely, they've been in these tiny containers all summer long. So you can see here, they are very much root bound, which is fine. You can bounce a plant back from being root bound. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of lightly break up this root structure just a little bit. I don't want to do too much damage. I'm just trying to loosen it up just a little bit so it can start making its comeback. Let's look and see how our oregano plant looks. I bet it's pretty root bound too. This one might be a little bit harder to see, but definitely root bound. And the roots are not looking as bright as I feel like they should be. So we may be dealing with a little bit of root rot as well. I'm hoping that this guy will bounce back from this. I think he will. He's still got quite a bit of greenery on the top, so there's still life in this plant. Let's get him in the ground so we can start making a recovery. Let's see how our sage plant's looking, shall we? This one, as I expected, is probably the worst looking out of all of them. You can't even hardly see the soil, except for on the top, which seems very compacted. So I, again, am just going to try to loosen it up just a little bit, very gently. I don't want to damage too much of this root structure. And then I'm going to get him in the ground, so hopefully he can start bouncing back. All right, last one to come out of the pot over here. Let's see how our thyme plant looks. Dare I say this one may even look worse than the sage. I'm just going to go ahead and break this all up and get it in the ground. Or in the soil, I should say. All right, that is it for these little container plants. Let's go get our thyme and our parsley from the other side of the building. All right, we are over in my 5-gallon bucket area. These are my chives, not looking too bad. I need to do a harvest off of them. And then look at my lettuce. Doesn't that look beautiful? These are also ready to be harvested. Super excited for salad. All right, over here, we have my parsley plant, which I'm going to be transplanting, and my thyme. I don't know what's going on with my thyme. I feel like it's a moisture issue. It doesn't look the best. If I had to guess, my soil level in my container is about down to here. So I'm thinking that it's staying too moist in there. I don't feel like it's getting the opportunity to dry out like it should. So I feel like that's why my thyme plant does not look the best. There is still some green here, but it is definitely less than ideal. So I'm hoping that by moving this thyme plant over there to my big container area, it has the opportunity to get more airflow thus being able to dry out a little better. And obviously, as I pull this out of this 5-gallon bucket, I'm going to get a better idea of what the root structure looks like. And the root structure is probably more than likely going to tell me if I am correct in that assumption. But my parsley looks great. It is actually ready for a harvest, but I don't want to transplant and then do a harvest in the same day. So I will probably give this another week or so before I do any kind of cuttings off of it. But yeah, parsley's looking beautiful. Even though I did have a caterpillar situation with this early in the year. I actually had 6 swallowtail, I believe, caterpillars on here, and they went to town on it. But as you can see, she's big, she's beautiful, she's looking great. Yeah, I'm glad I let those caterpillars lie where they were. All right, let's get these out of here and over in my big container area. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna look and see where this is actually growing at and where it would be safe to stick my shovel down in here. So I feel like here's a good spot. So I'm just gonna kind of try to pry this upward. My parsley has actually built quite the root structure and is looking very healthy. So that makes me happy. So we'll get this thyme moved over here and hopefully that'll make it rebound. All right, I went ahead and brought you guys in just a little closer so you can kind of see what's going on. I hope the fence isn't too much of an obstruction, but I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put a hole in the ground here for my thyme and over right where the parsley is sitting for the parsley, and we'll get those in the ground. And then the last thing we're gonna do is we're gonna water everything in, all this stuff and all the berries. All right, all of my herbs are in back here. I still need to put my parsley in a bigger pot, but hopefully now that these guys are all in, they will start feeling better and start bouncing back. They should have plenty of time before winter comes to build a nice solid root structure. So yeah, they look great. I almost felt bad moving my parsley because that parsley was looking really good over there. It was really happy, but now all my herbs are in one spot and I can feel better knowing that they have more space to grow. All right, the last thing that we need to do over here is give all these plants a nice drink. So I got my fence sealed back up over here. We're gonna go ahead and water everything over here, get it off to a good start. Okay, those are all watered in nicely. So that should get all these plants off to a great start. Hopefully they start thriving and bouncing back and looking beautiful again. Now let's go water in our berry bushes on the other side of this building, and then we'll go and we will transplant our rosemary. And then we'll be done for the day. All right, I had to switch angles because that sun was getting so bright. But both of our berry bushes are watered in. All of our herbs on the other side of the building are all watered in. The last thing we have left to do today is to up pot our rosemary, and I'm also going to up pot some basil that I've had sitting in my windowsill for a long time. Since this bag insists on being in my video, I'll go ahead and show it to you. I told you I went to the farmer's market yesterday and I bought 5 pounds-ish of jalapenos. So I am planning on doing a big old batch of cowboy candy with that, and I will be sure to record it and share it with you guys. But now on to the main task that we're working on right now. Up potting my rosemary and my basil, both of which are in desperate need. Oh, and this basil. Oh, I just love the small basil. It is so delicious smelling. Anyways, normally I would not do this kind of task at my counter here. I would normally do it at my table. However, my table is currently being occupied by 9 baby turtles. long story about that. I don't know if I get enough questions about it. I may do a small video just to explain what's going on there. But anyways, so I've decided that my containers that the berry bushes came in would be just about the perfect size to up pot these in to get them through the winter. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a small amount of dirt out of these containers here, put it on this little paper plate that you can't see, and then transplant these in, recover them with soil, and then give them a good watering, and they should be good to go. Let's get to it. We'll go ahead and do the rosemary first because I'm very curious to see how root bound this one is based on how the other plants looked outside. I mean, in all honesty, it's not as bad as the other plants were outside, which makes sense because this one looks about the best out of all of them. So, okay. All right, looking good. Let's get that basil put in this pot right here. All right, let's see what this one looks like because he's not looking the best either. I just haven't taken the time to up pot him. Okay, not bad. Better than I expected, to be quite honest with you, because he seemed pretty sad here for a little bit. So let's get him in here. All right, let's get these guys watered, and then we'll be done for the day. All right, so here is my rosemary and my basil plant. This is a little space that I have in my mudroom. This is actually the sunniest room in the house. I realize they are a little bit low, but that's okay. I do have grow lights that I can put on them if necessary. I think they'll be able to get enough light in here, especially in the morning. The sun rises right there in the morning, so all that light should be able to filter on in here. I got my little tray down here to catch water when I water them. I think that these guys should be happy and healthy all winter long. They have all kinds of room for the roots to grow. It should be a really good winter for these guys. So I will keep you guys updated. All right, friends. It has been a very successful day of planting and transplanting here on the homestead. Thank you for coming with me today. I'll see you soon.